Porcupine hunts buffalo, a Ute legend. So long ago and nearly forgotten, when animals and people still knew each other's languages, and when someone gave you a gift, you were obligated to repay the courtesy. In these days, there were more animals than you can see stars in a desert sky. One day, among the stands of scrub oak, chokecherry, and ancient red sandstone slabs pointing to the sky, Porcupine began an adventure to follow some buffalo tracks. It wasn't long, and he came across some buffalo poop, like big, grassy pies. He knelt near one of the pies and asked, "Tell me, Buffalo Chip, for how many days have you been here on this dusty trail?" The buffalo pie did not immediately answer. Porcupine continued to question the poop, which seemed busy playing host to some lively flies. "I say, friend, for how long have you been here on the open prairie feeding our cousins the flies?" At last, one of the chips answered,
"It was only recently we arrived, dropped from a dark cloud."
This information confirmed Porcupine's keen suspicion, and he continued on the trail. As he trotted along, he met more buffalo chips, darker and moister still, that pointed him to a river. There, on the other side of a ford, where the river was easily crossed, he saw a large herd of furry beasts. "Aha! My instincts have not failed me," thought Porcupine as he sat down and formulated a plan. He grinned a bit when an idea came to him. He yelled into the crowd of buffalo, "Hey you! Might I have a ride across the river?" One of the buffalo looked up from eating. "Are you talking to me?" Porcupine shook his head. "No, you will not do. I need a different buffalo." He continued rejecting each bull and cow, one after the other. Finally, the most magnificent buffalo stepped forward and declared, "I will carry you across, small one." The buffalo easily tromped through the water and met Porcupine. Then the buffalo knelt down and invited Porcupine to climb on his back. Porcupine looked scared. "No, I'm afraid I'll fall off into the water," Buffalo said. "Then climb up my shoulders and hang on to my horns." "No," replied Porcupine. "That is so high, and your horns are so sharp. I'll likely poke myself and slip off into the river." Buffalo tried to offer other ways that he might carry him, but Porcupine declined. Buffalo then thought of a different way. "What if you rode inside of me?" "Oh, I like that," said Porcupine. Buffalo opened his mouth wide and stuck his tongue out far, so Porcupine could climb in and let himself be swallowed. Then the buffalo began to cross the river. Before long, Porcupine asked, "Where are we?" "We're in the middle of the river," said Buffalo. Splash, 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 splash. "Where are we now?" asked Porcupine again. "Nearly to the other side," said the buffalo. Splash, splash, splat, splat. "Now we are in the mud on the other bank of the river. It is time for you to come out of me, Porcupine." But Porcupine protested. "Oh, not just yet. How about you keep going a little further?" Splat, splat, swish, swish. Again the buffalo stopped and said, "Now we're in the grass. That is far enough. Come out, Porcupine." Then Porcupine swung his spiky tail and pierced the buffalo's heart. The buffalo tried to run, but shortly fell down and died right there. Porcupine had killed him. other buffalo in the herd were angry and tried to spear and hook the porcupine with their great horns. But Porcupine hid patiently under the buffalo's ribs, where he was protected. Eventually, the herd gave up and left the corpse of the magnificent buffalo. When all the buffalo were gone, Porcupine emerged and said, "I have really worked up an appetite. I wish I had something to cut up this buffalo with so that I could eat the fresh meat." Now, Coyote was napping nearby, and his ears poked up when he heard the mention of meat. Coyote bounced over to the porcupine and said, "Hello, friend. Look here. I have this knife. We can use it for butchering." Porcupine was pleased. "What good luck you were near, Coyote." "You got that right, friend," said Coyote. "But first we have to do this test to see who should butcher the corpse." Test? Porcupine was puzzled. He had never heard of a test to see who should butcher. "Come along the side of the buffalo here with me, friend. Now, whichever of us is able to jump over the buffalo passes the test and should be the one to butcher," explained Coyote. "I'll let you be first since you killed the buffalo for us." Porcupine ran best he could with his short little legs, but when he jumped, he landed plop on top of the buffalo. "A shame, cousin. That was certainly a good try. I'm not sure if I could do much better." Coyote then sprang over the corpse with ease. "It appears we're still in luck, friend. I'll do the butchering then." Coyote cut up the belly and handed a long strip to the porcupine. "Here, friend, take this and wash it in the river. But don't eat it yet." Porcupine's mouth started to water as he trotted down to the river with the buffalo paunch. His stomach growled as he washed the meat in the river, so he bit off a piece. Coyote was watching with one eye and became furious when he saw Porcupine take a bite. "What did I tell you, friend? Do not eat any of the paunch. Now you've done yourself a bit of bad luck." Porcupine's quills prickled up in fear. Coyote picked up a club and struck Porcupine, who dropped dead on the shore of the river. Coyote then drugged the porcupine and laid him beside the buffalo. "Well, this is quite a lucky day for me," Coyote complimented himself. Then he went home to fetch his family. They would be good help for the butchering of both the buffalo and porcupine. Coyote's family was quite excited when they learned of how great a hunter Coyote was. "Come, family," Coyote said. "Let us bring the meat home so we can feast." Now, when Porcupine was still inside the buffalo, after crossing the river, he said a magic blessing to honor the great buffalo. "Where this buffalo dies, a paw-wop, a cedar tree shall grow fast." Coyote had not noticed a juniper sprouting under the meat. It continued to grow quickly under the buffalo and porcupine, lifting the bodies high in the air. Coyote was puzzled when he returned to find a tree where he left the booty. Little did he know that all of the meat and porcupine were stuck at the top of the cedar tree. The magic of the growing tree entered into Porcupine, and he jumped alive again. Coyote's family was becoming a bit irritated watching Coyote sniff around and retrace his steps. They were beginning to believe that Coyote had made the whole thing up, like he was known to do. "Come, family," Coyote implored. "Help me find this meat." They all began hunting around for the bodies. At the top of the cedar tree, Porcupine said a spell. "I wish they would look up." Just then, the youngest pup looked up and shouted, "There!" The family all peered into the treetop and saw a fat porcupine sitting on top of the delicious meat. Coyote said, "Oh, there you are, friend. I'm glad you were not too hurt by your punishment. I brought my family down to help us with this work. Now, follow my directions this time. Throw down a piece of the neck. They are hungry and need to eat first before they can be a help." "Oh, sure, Coyote. I'll do just as you say," said Porcupine. "But I'm scared for your youngest child. Put him at a safe distance away. I don't want to hurt him with this heavy meat." Coyote was pleased. "Yes, very thoughtful of you, friend," Coyote said as he pushed his child aside. "Now," continued Porcupine, "all of you make a ring and stretch out your hands and arms upwards to catch the meat." The family delighted in following Porcupine's directions. Porcupine selected several heavy sections of the buffalo and threw them down on Coyote and his family. Each piece struck a different member, killing them all. Only the youngest pup was safe, in the grass, away from the tree. Porcupine then tossed down the remainder of the buffalo meat and climbed down the tree. Then and there, Porcupine adopted the young Coyote and made him healthy and fat with all the meat he desired. They each took all the meat they could carry to Porcupine's home. From then on, the young Coyote was loyal to his stepfather and helped him hunt buffalo together for many summers and many winters. The end.